China often makes assertions on the territory of Arunachal Pradesh. They use many tactics. They issue different maps, they give different names, but they are now taking it to another level when they harass an Indian national born in Arunachal Pradesh, residing in Britain. And similar incident was experienced by Prema. Uh, she was traveling from on her vacation from London to Japan, and in her transit, the kind of things she faced in on the territory of China, in the city of Shanghai. She is joining us to tell her story. What did she experience and how she got out of China? I'm being joined by Prema. Prema, my first question to you: that can you describe the moment you first realized that the Chinese immigration officers were refusing your transit and in fact harassing you and citing your Arunachal Pradesh birthplace as a point of contention and as a point of harassment for you?
Thank you, Pranay. So yes, basically, I only had like a 3-hour transit in Shanghai,
Hmm,
and I was transiting from there to go on to my onward journey to Japan, and
hmm,
I had actually gone past the immigration gates. It was e-gates, so basically, I just put my passport through and went to
hmm,
the security gates. Obviously, I was in queue to get through to security when
hmm,
one of the officials basically came and started screaming India, India, and with my name, and
hmm,
then she
hmm,
singled me out. So I did
hmm,
ask her, what is the reason, like why are you taking me out? So she didn't
hmm,
actually, I think her English was quite poor, so she couldn't
hmm,
say much. She just kept saying, follow me, follow me. And
hmm,
then she took me to the immigration desk, so not the e-gates, the desk right next to the e-gates. And she basically said to me, Arunachal, not valid passport, not valid passport.
not
And I
valid
say,
passport.
yes.
Hmm,
So I say, do you mean India is not a valid, like, what do you mean by that?
hmm,
And then she basically used translate and said, Arunachal is part of China. Your passport is invalid.
hmm,
Um, so that was quite confusing and obviously unexpected because I had
hmm,
previously transited exactly about a year and a month before
hmm,
via Shanghai, in fact, on the
hmm,
16th of October 2024. And
hmm,
before which, I had called up the Chinese embassy in London
hmm,
just to
hmm,
check whether transit is allowed for Indians if it is
hmm,
below a certain amount of time. So
hmm,
they mentioned that as long as it's less than 24 hours or 12 hours, I can't exactly
hmm,
remember the time. So,
hmm,
because of that, I carried forward my journey, which I
hmm,
successfully did in
hmm,
2024, October 16th.
hmm,
This time around, because I was aware that China
hmm,
doesn't have any issues with transit, is why I went
hmm,
ahead with the journey. Very surprised and very obviously humiliated because a lot of events happened after. There was
hmm,
another immigration officer who came around
hmm,
uh, screaming and shouting on the way between the transit between one terminal to the other. And I, in fact, had to say, can you stop being
hmm,
so unprofessional? Otherwise, I have to take out my phone to film you, I'm afraid. And
hmm,
basically, then they took me to the near the China Eastern transfer desk. And
hmm,
right next to that is basically the immigration officer was seated who was checking various things.
hmm,
But they didn't give me a timeline. I said, by law, I don't know
hmm,
what you're saying because Arunachal is part of India. I've never heard of
hmm,
Arunachal being part of China. We don't have
hmm.
any land property rights in
Yes.
China. We don't have any access to public funds in China. Our government is Indian.
Hmm,
Um, so they basically just kept holding up and did not
hmm,
give me any specific. I said, can you show me the exact rule that says Indians cannot transit? No, your passport is not valid. It's invalid. India, no. China only. Arunachal, China only. So then obviously I waited a couple of hours, total
hmm,
disengagement from the rest of the world because their
hmm,
Wi-Fi wasn't working.
hmm.
Even if you do get connected, you cannot access Google. You cannot access any of the other social media.
Yes.
So it was really hard for me to actually process what was happening after a 12-hour journey from London
Hmm,
Gatwick into
Hmm.
Shanghai.
Hmm.
Every hour or so, I would go up to them and say, what's happening? Can you give me an update? What's happening? They would just say, sit down, sit down. They
Hmm.
wouldn't let me pass over to buy food. So I
Hmm.
was left without any
But
food
Prema,
or
the larger
access to
question
food.
here is that technically the transit area is not the territory of that country because we all
Exactly. And that's what I
travel, and
said.
that doesn't require you to even go through immigration process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did say to them that basically I'm
Hmm.
on the air side of the
Hmm.
airport. I'm not on the land side. I haven't crossed
Hmm.
over to the other
Hmm.
side of the transit area.
Hmm.
So, what is the issue?
Hmm.
I mean, the airline staff, very unprofessional, very rude, just kept screaming and, saying things. In fact, at one point of time, there was like five people around me,
Hmm.
two or three from the immigration, the other side,
Hmm.
all surrounding me, pointing at my passport and saying Arunachal, Arunachal, China, and like
Hmm.
mocking and laughing among themselves. Um, so yeah, it's been a very traumatic experience actually because I lost
Obviously,
all
this is
my
very
bags.
traumatic for any passenger. And did you tell them about you that you are a UK, you're a resident of
Absolutely,
UK,
yes.
you're only born in India, and you're a proud Indian national. And as you mentioned about it, that you have already transited via Shanghai earlier. So did you
Yes.
when you mentioned all these facts, what was their
Mhm.
reaction? And if you could tell, if you can can
They
tell us
just
more. Yeah, if you
they
can
would
tell us
just
more about the kind of behavior, how did the immigration officer and the China Eastern Airlines staff treat you during that entire 18-hour ordeal of yours?
yes, I mean, to be honest, I feel like the immigration officers didn't quite speak much of the English
Hmm.
the that they would just keep saying go sit down and like
Hmm.
just not do much, but I feel more it was the Chinese airline, the China Eastern Airlines staff who were being
Hmm.
very unprofessional and screaming and just dismissing each time I went up to them, trying to ask them, I need access to internet, at least like
Hmm.
show me the rule, show me the law that says Indians
Hmm.
with born in Arunachal Pradesh are actually. So at one point of time, one of the immigration officers even said to me, "You are Chinese. Arunachal is Chinese. Apply for a
Hmm.
Chinese passport." Um,
Did they give you any form to apply for a Chinese passport?
no,
Because
they were just laughing and mocking me, basically
hmm.
saying you should apply for a Chinese passport. You're not Indian.
So complete
Um,
harassment.
yes, a
Hmm.
lot of that actually
Hmm.
for the full 17, 18 hours.
Hmm.
Um, And yes, I did mention to them, look, it's only a place of birth.
Hmm.
This passport is obviously valid. I've been to over 58 countries. I
Hmm.
travel all the time. I'm a frequent traveler. I'm well aware of my rules. I
Hmm.
understand immigration laws and everything, and obviously I abide by it. But in this case, because I've already transited through China,
Hmm.
I've already consulted before my travel with the Chinese
Hmm.
embassy.
Hmm.
Does someone who is just transiting for 3 hours need a visa in China? And they obviously agreed that I did not.
Hmm.
So it was quite stressful because I
Hmm.
couldn't quite remember which part of China I had traveled through,
Hmm.
but I looked through my
Hmm.
records, in fact, last night, and I saw I
Hmm.
had, in fact, transited exactly from Shanghai Pudong
Hmm.
Airport
Hmm.
a year ago in October.
Hmm.
I showed them my residency, basically the electronic visa, which
Hmm.
is for
Hmm.
UK residents. Uh,
Hmm.
specifically told them
Hmm.
because India doesn't allow dual citizenship. I haven't
Hmm.
translated my citizenship into British one, but I am fully
Hmm.
resident in the UK, working as an accountant for and basically residing and a legal indefinite leave to
Hmm.
remain
Hmm.
citizenship with UK for over
Hmm.
14 years now. So
Hmm. But Priva, tell us more about, did you get any access to food or were you allowed to book your flight if they were not allowing you, to stay there? What exactly was their argument? Because and what was the status of your passport entire during the period of 18 hours?
they literally basically confiscated my passport, did
Mm-hmm.
not give it back to me. And I said, look, if you're not allowing me to go past the gates,
Hmm.
Like, where could I go, even if I have
Hmm.
my passport? So
Hmm.
obviously, I don't understand why you're holding my passport. They just
Hmm.
wouldn't give me an answer. They just said, wait for immigration, wait for immigration. And I
Hmm.
said to them, on what grounds are you holding me? I just don't understand. My
Hmm.
passport, it has over, I don't know, 20, 30 stamps from different
Hmm.
countries. It's obviously
Hmm.
valid. That's the valid document.
Hmm.
But they just keep pointing at Arunachal and saying China, China, not India. Um, I tried to ask them, I'm quite unwell because obviously I've had like a 12-hour flight. I need some rest. Is there a lounge?
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
lounge passes. I can pay for it. I can rest in a lounge. They just made me sit right in front of them because they want to see that I'm there.
Hmm.
No access to food. I did say to them, like, can I just, you have my passport. I can just
Hmm.
use the terminal to buy some food, but they wouldn't let
Hmm.
me move from there.
Hmm.
When I asked them what can I do, they say just go back to. We'll put you on a plane. Go back to
Hmm.
UK or go to India. Don't be here. Something
Hmm.
like that. And it was very weird because I said,
Hmm.
you're not deporting me, so you want me at my own expense to go back when I
Hmm.
have valid visa for Japan. I have my
Hmm.
flights booked to Japan. I
Hmm.
have my hotel bookings. Everything is in order. I've got the rights to be there. I've got all the documents to be traveling to Japan.
Hmm. Hmm. But
Um,
Prema, before I ask a further question, tell us more about the exact itinerary of your travel. Like you started, at what time from UK, and you were, scheduled to land in Tokyo. But after Shanghai, was there any other transit as well, or like you were directly booked from Shanghai to Tokyo or any other
so
city in Japan?
actually, it was no, not Tokyo. I was flying
Hmm.
into Osaka.
Osaka.
So
Hmm.
the flight was connecting for 3 hours in
Hmm.
Japan, in Shanghai, and
Hmm.
then two and a half, 3 odd hours in Seoul. From
Hmm.
Seoul,
Hmm.
it was to Osaka.
Okay.
So yeah,
So you
and
had a further layover in Seoul
layover, a
as well.
couple of hours. Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So I had all the flight tickets, and they had, in fact. So my question to
Hmm.
the China Eastern was, if you are aware that
Hmm.
Indian passport wouldn't be valid for someone who is born in
Hmm.
Arunachal Pradesh, why did you let me board in the first place? You
Hmm.
had my details. The airline checked my passport at the
Hmm.
time that I left UK. Um, because I didn't have any luggage, usually you could just go straight to the
Hmm.
boarding gates. But in this
Hmm.
case, because it's an international flight, I thought, I have plenty of time. I've reached
Hmm.
the airport early, so I left around 10 a.m.
Hmm.
on the 20th.
Hmm.
Landed in, I think due to the time difference, 5 or 6 a.m. in Shanghai. And then
Hmm.
only after a lot of, basically, so I had to tell them, I need to have some rights to be able to contact my family or somebody. Like,
Hmm.
nobody knows where I am because
Hmm.
you've held me here for so many hours. So finally, the China Eastern gave me their landline,
Hmm.
where I basically rang some of my friends in UK, and they
Hmm.
got hold of the the Indian embassy in Shanghai that
Hmm.
I rang, and ultimately, I think around past the 12 hours, I think 14, 15 hours is
Hmm.
when I finally could got the Indian officials. I think
Hmm.
IFS Mr. Rajat with five other men actually from the Indian embassy came, and basically
Hmm.
they tried to talk some sense into them.
Hmm.
Um, but they were quite restrictive because firstly, I don't understand why I was being held,
Hmm.
on what
Did,
grounds,
did the
because my
immigration officer, because you mentioned about the China Eastern Airline staff, harassing you, but did the Chinese immigration officer also spoke to you, or like did they
it
were their behavior also the same, or did they
yes.
give you any explanation when they called your Indian passport invalid? So like, was there any legal explanation given by them?
No, nothing at all. I say, show me
Hmm.
the law. Just show me
Hmm.
the law which says that I cannot transit because I'm
Hmm.
not even entering China. I'm
Hmm.
not intending to enter China. I'm transiting through. So if you have a problem with
Hmm.
my passport, why would you want to hold me here? You
Hmm.
should, in fact,
Hmm.
want me to not be in the country. But they
Hmm.
simply said that you don't hold any valid
Hmm.
document be able
mm.
to transit via our country.
So
Um,
how did the Indian official, like, you asked for their help when they came? How did they salvage the situation, and what role the Indian officers played in that entire episode, and so that you get the support and you get out of that situation? If
yes,
you can tell
I'm
us more.
so they were very helpful. In fact, when I did finally speak to somebody in
Mm,
the embassies, and
mm,
they were quite reactive. I mean, they
mm,
called me back, in fact, on their landline as well,
mm,
while basically passing this information to the higher ups. And then finally, I think within an hour of speaking to them, they did come over to the airport. Obviously, I told them that they've helped me without food, so they brought me some food as well, which was very
mm,
kind
mm,
and welcoming of the Indian officials who came over. And then finally, the resolve was they said that, you know, to just get you out of here, we don't want to basically impose or request too many things. If they're saying you have to go back to India or to UK, let's just get them basically the flight tickets. So instantly I had to book some tickets, which basically transited via Bangkok to get into
mm,
India. I mean,
mm,
basically, what they needed to release my passport and to let me out of Shanghai was to
mm,
book a flight which showed that I was going back to India or to UK.
mm.
And
And
obviously,
you're
after
currently in India, or you're like, you're still in Bangkok?
yes, I am now in Bangkok. So basically,
Mm,
I just
mm,
was too tired to be able to take on any more journey. I mean, 12 hours
mm,
journey, 18 hours, they helped me back. And then,
mm,
yeah, so I just wanted to rest here. And obviously, even the Indian officials said that as long as we can show them proof that you've got flights to India,
mm,
you
mm,
should be able to leave at least from here. And once you're out
mm,
of here and you reach Bangkok, it's up to you whether you want to fly onward to India or you continue your journey to Japan. But yes, that's been the ordeal. The immigration officers, basically, the personnel kept changing, so everyone had a
Okay.
different
Mm,
attitude. And
mm,
at one point, like I said, I was like with two or three officials from the Chinese Eastern staff in front of me, and two
mm,
other immigration officers, and they were all like laughing at
mm,
my passport and saying
mm,
Arunachal, um, not valid, not valid, and things like that. So it kept on. Like I kept asking them, what is the reason? Give me some law that says that we cannot pass. Why are you holding me back? Just no answer. They just keep saying, wait, wait, wait. No valid document, no valid document,
mm.
invalid document. Um,
Prema, this is not for the first time any Arunachal-born Indian has faced, because we have seen that how the Chinese used to issue stapled visa, and like the athletic team members also face similar kind of experience, or like very harassing things while getting the Chinese visa, and during the Chinese the visa interviews, etc. Though there has been a rapprochement, there has been a people-to-people linkage between India and China. And the recent political engagement also endorsed that we need to ease the process of travel. Recently, we have started a direct flight to China. So in fact,
mhm.
restarted those flights. So it was totally unexpected, for any Indian to face these kind of things which you are mentioning right now. Definitely, it's clear harassment, that to an Indian, especially born in Arunachal Pradesh, and you never expect these things from China. Uh, what message and urgent appeal you would want to make? I know that you have recently raised this issue with the government of India. You mentioned about the role of the Indian officials there. So government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, about is aware about your ordeal. But did you write, or did you complain, lodged any complaint, and what exactly is your message out of after this entire experience?
Yes, so I did actually, once I got back to Bangkok, look up basically whatever emails I could find for, Ministry of External Affairs, the
Mm,
PMO, the Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, and couple of other basically honorable,
mm,
authorities that I could find and get my hands on. And I basically copied all of them and wrote an email to them. Now, I don't know how long it would take
mm,
for them to actually receive and be able to act on it. but that was the first thing that I did. And
Hmm.
obviously then seeking help perhaps to speak to someone in the media, because I think it's quite humiliating as a citizen of India to be told you are not a citizen of India, you belong to China, or that your land, your home
Hmm.
country is a part of China, when all your life you know that you have been Indian. And I do understand that the northeastern states, in most cases people do get confused as to which country, but
Hmm.
obviously we have always been Indian, we've been a proud
Yes.
Indian citizens. And um, I mean, I just don't understand in what way they could just claim over a territory to be part of China and
Hmm.
reason with a normal citizen. In fact, I'm not even a residing citizen. I've been a British resident for
Hmm.
14 years. So instead of harassing citizens
Hmm.
like us who actually have no power over
Hmm.
diplomatic issues like this, for these matters to be raised with our government, who actually
Hmm.
have the power and the
Hmm.
authority and the basic ability to speak on these matters. I don't understand how someone who is just
Hmm.
basically not even working for the government of India be able
Hmm.
to speak or be harassed or make any action in such a way that China thinks just by harassing us they can claim a part of
Absolutely, Prema.
my
And
country.
not only mental harassment, you incurred the financial losses as well. You were
Exactly.
forced to book the flights, and now you're still in Bangkok because your entire itinerary has gone for toss.
Yes, exactly. And quite strangely, when I finally agreed, then I said, okay, I found some tickets to India, the cheapest ones that
Hmm.
I can find. So can I book these? So they go, you have to book with China Eastern at exorbitant, like two, three times the price. So basically, I think it was purely harassment. Um,
Oh,
there
wait a
was
minute.
no.
They forced you to book the Chinese flight only to get out of China.
Exactly. I couldn't book, so I found other flights. They said you
Hmm.
have to book with us. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, they were very, in fact, the first flight option they showed me, which they were trying to get me to book, was about £3,000, which is about
Hmm.
3.2 lakhs. And
Hmm.
obviously, I refused that. And I said, if you want to deport me, it should be you
Hmm.
who pay for it. But obviously,
Hmm.
at the end, they didn't they didn't even they had an official come over. I think they got some calls from higher ups, maybe after the Indian
Hmm.
officials came. They came and
Hmm.
they tried to basically clear their side of the statement by saying we didn't
Hmm.
hold you in detention, it is just procedure that we were following, which I think is not exactly what the situation was, because they did hold me there for over 17, 18 hours and hold my passport. So, I mean,
Hmm.
there is no way I could um, just leave the airport in any other way. And
Hmm.
also, not having that ability to book any flight, they forced me to book on some,
Hmm.
China Eastern Airlines only. And
Hmm.
that's the question that I had for the staff, that if your airline in the first instance was negligent in checking my
Hmm.
passport and telling me that
Hmm.
my passport is invalid, and
Hmm.
boarding me from London, how can I trust the same airline to book with you and pay more than I would with other airlines, which had more reasonable timings? I could have probably left the country much earlier than 18 hours
Obviously,
if
your
they.
passport is valid, Prema. Your passport is valid
Yes,
for the entire world, and that is not
exactly.
the case. That was a pure harassment, and I'm sure they must have not stamped your passport because you are not technically deported by them. So
Exactly.
it was a complete harassment.
Exactly. There was, in fact, I tried to go through all the pages. There is
Mm,
not a single stamp to prove that basically I
mm,
was in the Shanghai.
mm,
I believe maybe because it's transfer, that's probably the reason, because I had to get in
mm,
through the e-gates. So there wasn't
mm,
a manual person to be stamping the
mm,
getting into the Shanghai.
mm,
And then while going out, basically, um, the one of the staff from the airline escorted
mm,
me. at the
Hmm.
point when I showed them the tickets for India.
Okay.
And they took me from a separate gate, so not from
Mhm.
the usual where the
Hmm.
immigration officer would check your passport or
Okay.
something. So they didn't give me any stamp on
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
passport as well.
Hmm.
I think
Thank you
they've.
very much, Prema, for I'm really sorry to hear this entire ordeal of yours, whatever you have faced in Shanghai, and we hope that the government of India also raise this issue with the Chinese authority, and no other Indian, or especially the people born in Arunachal Pradesh, had to face this kind of experience. But thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Pranay. Thank you so
Bye.
much for your time. Thank you.